This is Brother Kashakwala coming back at you with another lesson, giving all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai by Hashem Echakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. Peace, love, salutation to the elect 144 first fruit. Today I'm coming back at you with another installment of the series I got going. Let's take a look into it. This will be the installment number 21. And again, you can go on my page in the home section of my page, and I have a playlist labeled Let's Take a Look Into It. If you want to look into any one of those videos, it's me just going into random things in the scripts. The scriptures are very broad, so you can pick any topic and go into it. The purpose of Let's Look Into It series is to give you a synopsis of what, the certain thing that I'm looking into is going into, and then you can take that specific information that I give you and you can take it a little further and dive deep into it. But this gives you a platform and a foundation of where to start. So without further ado, let's go ahead and look into it. So what we're going to look into today is the Battle of Emmaus, if I'm saying that correctly. Now, this is during the time of the Maccabees. The Maccabees, of course, you see I have a general's name up here, Gorgias or Georgius, however you want to say it. He was a Syrian Seleucid general during this time. Now, I do have 1 Maccabees chapter 4 up, which we can start at verse 1. But first, we have to get a background of how the battle proceeded. Now, if you go onto my page right here, okay, so let's look into it. Number 20, number 19, and then number 18. Let's look into it, number 18. That was going into the Battle of Beth Horon, all right, which is located in 1 Maccabees, the 3rd chapter, which this is where we're going to start. So after that battle, so if y'all want to watch this video and then watch this one, I highly suggest it. But after this Battle of Beth Horon, okay, pretty much the Seleucid Empire had to regroup and pretty much try to gather a large army. So I'm going to start at 1 Maccabees chapter 3 and 29. And I will skip a lot in this chapter and then get to chapter 4 in the beginning and then skip a whole bunch to the end. So this is 1 Maccabees chapter 3 and 29. So this was after Judas Maccabees pretty much demolished Saron and his company, pretty much used guerrilla warfare to defeat that specific general that came up against him, who had the order from King Antiochus to come up against him. So verse 29, we're skipping ahead. All right, so verse 29, it says, "Nevertheless, when he saw that the money of his treasuries failed, and that the tribute and that the tributes in the country were small because of the dissension and the plague which he had brought upon the land, and the taking away the laws which he had been of old time." So King Antioch, or Antiochus or Antiochus, however you want to say it, he was going through an economic collapse at this very moment. Verse 29 is speaking of an economic collapse due to the fact that he tried to, well, really he did, he excluded, the law, statutes, commandments, which of course is going to bring a plague upon you. You see what's happening to Esau today for for doing what he's doing to the Israelites. And you can see his kingdom coming down. The Lord is putting these plagues on this place. So it's the same thing that was happening to Antiochus in this time. But he was losing money. As you can see, he says he opened up his treasures, but they failed. And it says his tributes in the countries were small because he was a terrible, I'm going to say it, he's a terrible leader. And he was sucking the resources dry from the other countries as being the tributaries. So it was like, what can we give you? All right. It's the same thing that Esau does today with these taxes. People owe taxes and barely make any income, but the IRS is saying you owe us. Owe you what? Air, nigga? So verse 30, it says, "Wherefore being Salakia, here He feared that he should not be able to bear the charges any longer, nor to have such gifts to give so liberally as he did before. For he had abundant above the kings that were before him, right? Because he got abundance in everything of that nature. So let's go ahead and skip down to verse 37 real quick. So verse 37, it says, So the king took the half of the forces that remained and departed from Antioch, his royal city, the 147th year, and having passed the river Euphrates, he went through the high country. So pretty much this was an act of fleeing, you could say. And when you read up, there's, matter of fact, I'll read verse 38 because this is going to be a pivotal part in this. Verse 38, okay, it says, Then Lysias chose Ptolemy, the son of Dorimenes, and Nicanor, and Gorgias, or Gorgias, mighty men of the king's friends. Okay, so now this is where, you could say, an alliance of three generals came up, because the Maccabean brothers was giving them so hard trouble on this front, or in this theater. All right, because when you could say theater, because in war you have different theaters. If you look into World War II, you had this Pacific theater, you had the European theater, you had the Japan theater, whatever. There's different type of theaters and pretty much scenes that were happening. So this was the theater of Israel, okay? Because you got to know and understand that during this time was during the time of the 6th Syrian War. So Antiochus was still in war with the Ptolemaic dynasty, okay? He was still in war with that dynasty, which the Ptolemaic Empire was situated in the northern half of Africa, okay? Which back then, it was called, Carthage area, things of that nature. All right, which later known to become Carthage, because Rome would have some issues with Carthage with Hannibal, but that's for a different time. Maybe I'll do a lesson on it. Okay, so going on, continuing. So it says verse 39, and this is pretty much the setup of the Battle of Emmaus. Okay. It says verse 39, and with them he sent 40,000 footmen and 7,000 horsemen to go into the land of Judah, and to destroy it as the king commanded. So they went forth with all their power and came and pitched by Emmaus, in the plain country. Now, a little backstory. Well, not backstory, but to give a location of where Emmaus is. It is about a little less than a mile away from Jerusalem. Okay, a little less than a mile away from Jerusalem, actually. Let me get. Let's see here. 1 second. Let me get Luke 24 and 13. It says, and behold, 2 of them went that same day to the village called Emmaus, which was from Jerusalem about 80 furlongs, which is about a little less than a mile away. Okay, so this proves that you need the Apocrypha, because the certain cities and locations are mentioned in the Bible, and this is specifically in the book of Luke, which it was during the time of Yahushua. All right, so you can link the New Testament with the Old Testament, and it has the same type of things in there. This is the Battle of Emmaus. And they literally were traveling to Emmaus in Luke the 24th chapter. There you go. You see that? It says about 80 furlongs from Jerusalem, which is about a little less than a mile. Okay, so probably like 0.75 miles. So just a little fun fact about the Battle of Emmaus and the location of where it was. Okay? Of the location of where it was. So that's where they went to go and pitch tent. Whenever it says pitch tent, that's where they set their location and get ready for the battle. Okay, so let's skip down. Okay, let's skip down and let's get some more validity here. It says, wherefore the Israelite, verse 46, First Maccabees 3:46. Wherefore the Israelites assembled themselves together and came into Mashpah or Masphah over against Jerusalem. For in Masphah was the place where they prayed aforetime in Jerusalem. And I want to apologize and say Salakia if I am totally butchering the names of how to pronunciate these. Salakia. But I'm just reading it, usually when you see a P and an H, it makes an F sound. So Masphah. But actually, this is in the scriptures as well, which let me see if I can find it real quick. I know it's in Samuel's. Let's say 1 Samuel. It might be in the next chapter. Yeah, Miss Faye. Yeah. So this is 1 Samuel 75, and Samuel said, gather all of Israel into Mizpeh, and I will pray for you unto the Lord. So Mizpeh was a kind of spiritual place, man, because this is where Samuel prayed for Israel. Okay, and that's what it says. That's what it says here in verse 46. It says, for Mizpeh was the place where they prayed aforetime in Israel. So this was speaking of 1 Samuel 7 and 5. So that is a clear precept to verse 46 that you can put in your script to link up with the Old Testament. You see why Esau wants to take out the Apocrypha? Because it has little bits and pieces like this to where we can come to an understanding. All right. So pretty much some things about Mizpeh. It was of Gilead, located northwest of Jerusalem. It was a little north of Emmaus, in the land of Benjamin. So this was in the land of Benjamin, okay, son of the right. So this was in the land of Benjamin. It was, like I said, it was of Gilead, located northwest of Jerusalem, a little north of Emmaus, just a little north of Emmaus. So now you can pinpoint where Emmaus is. So Emmaus was just a little, about a mile away from Jerusalem, a little less than a mile away from Jerusalem, and it was Mizpeh was located northwest of Jerusalem. So northwest of Jerusalem, okay, and a little north of Emmaus. So let me try to paint that picture. It was like in the middle. Emmaus was like in the middle of these two cities, okay, of Jerusalem and Mizpeh, okay. So that's that, So the Israelites pretty much pitched tent there, and they prayed, and they did what their forefathers did, back in the book of Samuel, and that's where they prayed, So I'm gonna skip down here, and I'm gonna go to verse 58. All right, it says, and Judah stayed in the army. It said, and Judah said, arm yourselves and be valiant men, and see that ye be in readiness against the morning, that ye may fight with these nations that are assembled together against us to destroy us and our sanctuary. Okay, there you go. Matter of fact, Salakia, let me read verse 57. It says, so the camp removed and pitched upon the south side of Emmaus. So now we're getting, whenever there's war, countries tend to position themselves first. So now we see that the three, generals, Nicanor, Gorgias, and Ptolemy, who were licensed by Lysias, they pitched tent in Emmaus. Now Judas had the Israelites go south of it, so they pretty much made a flanking maneuver before the action started, which takes us into 1 Maccabees, the 4th chapter, and we're going to start at 1. It says, then took Gorgias, or Gorgias, again, I Salakia if I'm pronouncing these incorrectly. He says, so it took him 5,000 footmen and 1,000 of the best horsemen, and removed out of the camp by night. It says, verse 2, to the end he might rush in upon the camp of the Jews and smite them suddenly. And the men of the fortress were his guides. Right. So he tried to make a night move, but unknowingly, the Maccabeans, they pitched tents south of Emmaus, so they already made a move before he made the move. So verse 3 says, now when Judas heard thereof, he himself removed and the valiant men with him, that he might smite the king's army which was in Emmaus, while as yet the forces were dispersed from the camp. You see that? So he caught wind of what was going on. He caught wind of what was going on, and he made a move. Okay? So this right here is during the time of 166 BC. Again, this is during the time of 166 BC, and this was the start of the battle. This was the start of the battle of Emmaus, okay? The start of that battle. All right, matter of fact, let me see if I can do something here. Okay. Oop, here we go. So you see it right here, right? So you have Jerusalem, Emmaus up here, and probably Misfay was up here. All right, little north, it said northwest, so it'd be like over here, closer to the Mediterranean of Emmaus. You see, about a mile away. Okay. Let's get this right here. That's kind of a blurry one. There you go. Now that's a little better. A little better. But pretty much this is what the battle was. Okay. This is where the battle was. And pretty much at first, Judas was over in this area. Let me try to zoom in. He was over in this area. And he pitched tent south of Emmaus. Okay. Probably right around in this area. And then we caught wind of the general trying to make a move up in this area. He caught wind of it and made his move this way. So they flanked him off the jump. They flanked them off the jump. So these are tactical moves that were happening. Okay? These are tactical moves that were happening. So I'm going to just stop right there, and I'm just going to go ahead and skip down to verse 21. I highly suggest y'all read everything that goes in here. There's a lot of stuff in there, but I'm just going to skip to the end of the battle. So it says, verse 21, it says, when therefore they perceived these things, they were so afraid. So like I started 20. It says, who when they perceived that the Jews had put their host to flight and were burning the tents, for the smoke that was seen declared that was done. When therefore they perceived these things, they were so afraid, and seeing also the host of Judas in the plain ready to fight. So they're like, shit. Okay, so Judas made his move and pretty much was winning the battle. Okay, and they're seeing that where they pitched tent was burnt up. And you just see men there probably twirling their swords like, what's good? You know what I'm saying? Like ready to fight with that, you know, that look in their eye. And they're probably like, crap. You see what I'm saying? So verse 22, it says, they fled everyone into the land of strangers. Then Judas returned to the spoils, to spoil the tents, where they got much gold, silver, and blue silk, and purple of the sea, and great riches. You see, and it says, after this they went home and sung a song of thanksgiving and praised the Lord in heaven, because it is good, because his mercy endureth forever. You see that? It says, verse 25, thus Israel had a great deliverance that day. So pretty much the main maneuver there that Judas had was a flanking maneuver. He flanked and he caught wind. He probably had spies. He caught wind of what Gorgias was trying to do, and he made his move. He got the booty, he got the spoil, and then they won that battle. And that was the battle of Emmaus, and that's just a little look into it there and some history on that. So Lord willing, that was edifying. I want to give all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shai Ba'Hashem HaKadosh. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. Peace of salutation to the elect 144 first fruit. So Brother Kochqual, until the next time, I say shalom, and like always. Oh, and I do want to recommend that you read the full chapter of 1 Maccabee 3 and 1 Maccabee 4 to get the full essence of what's going on in this specific battle. And if you do want to go and watch this lesson right here, let's take a look into it. Number 18, Battle of Beth Horon. And that will give you another, foundation start to understand what's going on in this specific battle right here. So like always, repent for Yahweh Shai is coming sooner than what me and you believe. Until the next time, I'm going to say shalom.